eu chamo aqui ao palco, primeiramente, o médico e speaker da VitaFor, Dr. João Branco. Uma salva de palmas para o Dr. João Branco. Para conversar com o Dr. João Branco, eu quero convidar o doutor, que é médico renomado nos Estados Unidos, inclusive o médico do Arnold Schwarzenegger. Quero convidar ao palco o Dr. Bob Goldman. Dr. João, passo a palavra para vocês.
Good morning, doctor. Before anything, we want to thank you a lot and say that all day we learn with you. And we have to talk with these doctors, nutritionists, and when you start the movement of anti-age, it became a little 26 years ago. What you have to talk with us about this movement?
Well, I come from a sports medicine background. And in sports medicine, what we try to do is develop peak performance at all ages, whether it's a young athlete or an older athlete. And as time went on, we tried to take that same technology that we applied to Olympic or high-level athletes and then look to apply this to people of all ages. Because if you treat every person like an athlete, you're going to develop the best nutrition program, exercise program, lifestyle modification. You're going to look at all these different aspects as well as the environment to see what kind of strains and stress that these people are undergoing. And so the next generation of sports medicine is anti-aging, longevity, managing the way people age, and how we can use technology, including nutrition, to intercede in that process and to adjust the way someone is aging. Further, if they have some sort of health problem, we now can utilize not only various therapeutics, but also various nutritional interventions to help to bring this person and keep them at their peak health.
Sure. And what your opinion, I think you discovered this thing about the link in sport and medicine. Talk about it with us.
Well, I mean, in sports medicine, when we want to build our muscle mass and strength, we do weight training, we do resistance training, we do aerobic training, we do all of these things in order to enhance the performance of the athlete. And so the same principles of training, intensity, frequency, and duration, how hard you train, how long you train, and how often you train is the same whether it be for an Olympic athlete or world champion or for a normal individual or for an elderly person, because we still want them to engage in the same basic principles of exercise, weight training, aerobic training, proper nutrition, nutrition supplementation. In fact, today in the USA, of those people aged 60 years or older, 66% are taking nutritional supplementation. And that's 2/3 of the population. And mind you, those figures are 10 years old. So I would say that the percentage of people above age 60 today in America is probably well over 70 or 75%, which is a bulk of the population. So we're getting a new attitude also because people are self-educating. With the internet now, anyone, anywhere in the world can access the world's medical and health literature. So you as nutritionists have to really be up on the latest technology and the latest science, because your clients and your patients are going to come to you and they're going to expect you to know this. And if you don't, they're going to go to another person who does. So education is key, and I urge all of you to get very involved in education, Next month, we're going to be having here the Pro World Health Conference, which will be probably the most advanced medically oriented conference ever held in Brazil, certainly in Sao Paulo, because we have so many world experts coming in one place at one conference. So it'll be a very exciting event and great educational experience. And that's why I think it's so important that as nutritionists, you are constantly educating yourselves and increasing your knowledge base.
And now we can say that you starting this movement in Brazil.
Well, I thought you started this movement.
I'm just learning with you. It's a pleasure. But talk about World Pro Health Conference. I will say some names, and you can talk us about these names. Can be? And talk us about Mark Abreu.
Mark Abreu is an MD, PhD, and he is a colleague of mine. He was trained at Harvard University and Yale University. He is a full professor at Yale, and he is one of the world's experts in how the brain functions. He has also had numerous patents, medical patents, issued to himself, and he has developed some really groundbreaking technology that is very exciting in the area of brain. We call the brain thermal tunnel, or how the temperature in the brain adjusts and how you can actually cure patients from certain disorders by adjusting the temperature of the brain. He is also an expert on the eye and board certified in that area as well. And he also speaks fluent Portuguese. He's from Brazil originally, although he resides in America now. But he is frequently down here with the medical universities doing very high-level research. I actually met him when I was down here for some Olympic meetings, and he was at that time in the basement, in the lower level of one of your major hospitals here, and he was doing MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging, which is a very sophisticated imaging machine of skulls that were over 10,000 years old to examine any vibration from the brain thermal tunnel. So a very, very fascinating speaker, and one that you would never normally get the opportunity because he's a full professor at Yale. So again, a great opportunity to hear a world expert.
Okay, never been lecturing in Brazil before.
Well, he may have lectured in Brazil, but not in this type of format on anti-aging and not with a full-on conference in this area.
Okay. Another name, Dr. Vitor Prisky.
Dr. Prisk is another colleague of mine from America. He is one of the chief doctors in bodybuilding. In fact, we are both together backstage at the Mr. Olympia contest every year and at the Arnold Sports Festival every year. He is also a former bodybuilding champion himself and a former Olympic gymnast. So not only is he a physician and surgeon, his specialty, by the way, is orthopedic surgery, but he is also a former champion athlete as well. And Dr. Prisk is an expert in nutrition, specifically in the areas of bodybuilding and fitness. And he has never been to Brazil. This is the first time he will have ever come down here to lecture. So again, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for those in the nutrition area, because his area of lectures will be on the field of nutrition. So this is a very, very unique experience for nutritionists to hear from a world expert from America.
And about the new technologies, and what do you think about the lecture by Douglas Peel?
Dr. Doug Spiel is also a former bodybuilding champion and also a former weightlifting champion. And he is a physician and surgeon, and his area of expertise is in various types of high-tech injectables. And he's an expert in an area that's become very popular in the US, which are called exosomes. And exosomes are a derivative of stem cells. As you know, stem cells exude a whole array of growth factors, which we call cytokines or growth factors. And so he will be lecturing on the new field of exosomes, stem cells, and some other aspects of these new medical technologies. Again, this is someone who has never been to Brazil. It will be the first time he has ever lectured in Brazil. And so again, a very unique opportunity for the attendees.
And we knew that you started it in US, and we are seeing some article, the big pharmacy is coming to inside the movement because you changed the mind of all doctors and all practice of these who work with health. Tell us about this, your experience.
Well, in the USA, we have a few different, very large professions. One is called personal fitness training, personal fitness trainers. And these are the people who people hire to train them in the gyms and to do specific exercise programs, nutrition programs, and so on. Back in the late 1980s, I started a group called the National Academy of Sports Medicine, or NASM. NASM has now gone on to be the leading personal fitness trainer certification in the world. And that was a group that I had started in this area. Now, with the new generation and the new information, anti-aging medicine has become a very, very popular and powerful movement. So preventative medicine has become a huge field, not only in America, but in Asia, Europe, around the world, and also here in Brazil. So what we are seeing, and what the big pharmaceutical houses are seeing, and the investment community is seeing, is that the future of medicine is really not only in preventative medicine, but high-tech medicine and new advances in medicine. So in the last several years, billions and billions of US dollars has gone into anti-aging companies and research. This is now one of the hottest areas in medical investment. Now all of a sudden, when the big money comes into this area, everyone else wakes up and realizes that anti-aging and regenerative medicine, longevity medicine, is really the most important, new, exciting field in medicine today, which also impacts on nutritionists, because people want to know the latest nutritional compounds that will have the most positive effect for extending lifespan and for extending health span, how healthy you are.
And for our colleagues know more Bob Goldman person. Who is Bob Goldman? By Bob Goldman, athlete that became a doctor or doctor athlete? How you can tell us about it?
I wasn't a doctor when I was younger. I was an athlete, you know. So I entered sport competition at a very young age. I started breaking records when I was 12 years old, and over a period of 14 years set over 20 world records in different strength and endurance sport.
Amazing.
And also got involved in the martial arts area. And so in world records, some world records in Guinness Book of World Records were 13,500 consecutive sit-ups with legs straight, which is not easy to do. It took 13 and a half hours straight. And also the handstand push-ups, where you're upside down. That world record was 321. And then in martial arts training, I gained my 6th degree black belt in Shotokan, which is Japanese karate, and a 7th degree black belt in Tang Soo Do. And of course, here in Brazil, you have many great martial artists. The Gracie family is from down here. In fact, I started the International Sports Hall of Fame, which I host every year at the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio. And Arnold is my co-host for that. And we honor the world's greatest athletes, and Hoist Gracie was one of those athletes that we inducted several years ago. So I would say I was first an athlete and then became a doctor later.
The other person that we can ask you, your friend, tell your relationship in sports and another donation that you do with Arnold.
Well, Arnold is a remarkable individual with astounding capacity. And you could see it here at the Arnold Sports Festival, Brazil. He is someone who the impossible is always possible. And he is able to achieve things that people cannot believe in many different areas, whether it be in sport as a 7-time Mr. Olympia, as a movie star, being at one time in his career the greatest movie star in the world, as a personality, celebrity, probably the most recognized person on the planet. Very few people that you can just say their first name, Arnold, and everyone knows who it is. And so, he has achieved so many things, and even in politics as a governor of the 5th largest economy in the world, California. So he is somebody I've known for over 30 years. I served with him on the President's Council on Sport under the U.S. President, back under President Bush, and other political and other types of things we've done together over the years. He is an inspiration for many of us in the sport community for many decades, and I consider him a close family friend and someone who we all wish to aspire to be, which is it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, you get up, and you never say no. Sort of like the Terminator, you just keep coming on. And even in his 70s now, he's still doing great things here, like at the Arnold Sports Festival, which is sponsored by Anna, who has done a magnificent job. This is the only Arnold Sports Festival outside the U.S. I've attended, and it's a fantastic event. I think one that everyone in Brazil or South America should attend every year. I intend on coming down every year now. I especially like being in the bubble when Arnold is going through the crowd and we get beat up as we go through the crowd. That's a lot of fun. And the enthusiasm of the Brazilian people for sport, for Arnold being here, for the visitors being here. Brazil is one of my favorite countries in the world, and I visit dozens and dozens of countries every year. The people of Brazil are warm, friendly, intelligent, passionate about everything they do. They want to learn. They're very smart. Your doctors are very smart, but we think we can make them a lot smarter, and that's why we're holding the World Pro Conference to try and help them get even up to a level of our doctors in America. So again, it's always a pleasure to be in this country and around all these great people, and making many new friends like yourself and all your colleagues.
Doctor, thanks so much. And we want to say anything more for our colleagues. Now it's the time.
Well, I think you all have a unique opportunity. At this conference, you can not only enjoy yourself and be entertained, but you can also be educated. And if you want to be truly successful in your careers, education is a lifelong pursuit, a lifelong endeavor. It's something that you just do to complete your degree. It's something you need to continue to do. I built the largest longevity, regenerative medicine, anti-aging conference and exposition group in the world. And even though I started these different professions, I'm always learning. I'm always trying to educate myself to learn more and to learn new things. And so you need to continue your education. You need to continue these pursuits because this is a lifelong pursuit. And if you don't, and you stop educating yourself, your competitors, other colleagues, will take your business away because patients are educated too. And patients are a lot smarter today than they were in the past. So it is up to you as a professional to continue to educate yourself, to continue to be better, and to continue to be what others aspire to be. You sort of need to be like an Arnold.
And the last one, what you can say that the people are in the cities, in the aging, and they gonna be not to health, they have to be sick or not? What the anti-age medicine movement can do for these people?
Well, I mean, the goal is to be very healthy throughout your life, and then at the very end, drop off. Not to be sick for many years and have degenerative disease. So the goal of anti-aging and regenerative medicine is to stay at peak health all the way until the end of your lifestyle or the end of your lifespan, because otherwise you will spend all of your family's earnings and wealth over those last declining years, instead of spending that time with great enjoyment with your family and friends and life experience, because you're not healthy enough to travel and to go around and to do physical activity. And I can't stress enough how important not only nutrition is, supplementation is, but exercise as well. You need to combine all of these things together for a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, doctor, I want to thank you, and learning a lot with you, it's a pleasure for us. Thanks so much.
Uma pergunta: como os cientistas e os médicos americanos e mundiais eles estão vendo essa questão da extensão da expectativa de vida com novas ciências, com novos equipamentos, com o aperfeiçoamento da nutrição, da suplementação nutricional? Como que eles estão prevendo esse aumento na expectativa de vida? Nós vimos nos últimos 50 anos um aumento expressivo aí de quase 50% na expectativa de vida das pessoas. Então eu queria saber do doutor como essa previsão tem se apresentado aí diante das novas ciências. Obrigado.
Very good question. You know, it's very interesting. If you go back 150 years ago, for not centuries, but for thousands of years, the average lifespan was only 26 years of age, which means many of you in this audience would already be dead. Then 100 years ago, the average lifespan was about 54. Today, depending which part of the world you're in, it's in the 70s to the 80s. With some of the new technology now becoming available, some of the new therapeutics, people's knowledge of self-help, nutrition, and early diagnosis of disease, I think many of you in this room will live to be 100 years or older. It's also even more important that you engage in proper lifestyle and nutrition, because the environment has gotten so toxic. The water is polluted, the air is polluted, the food sources are contaminated. We're living with electromagnetic radiation all around us from cell phones and cell towers. We're surrounded by a whole toxic environment. So you have two things going and many things going against. You have the knowledge of nutrition and exercise, but then you have all these toxic influences all around us. But I think if you follow a healthy lifestyle, I think we, in combination with the new technology, that we may begin to see lifespans of 100 or 120 or greater. And the next generation could be the last generation to actually die of old age, so to speak. What we would achieve is something called practical immortality, which would be lifespans of 120 or more. And I think this will be achievable over time.
Okay, our time is in the end. We have to go. It's a pleasure, doctor. Thank you so much.